But let's move on to the NBA, Rob. An interesting development here. So we know that Nikola Jokic was the MVP. And yesterday, Rudy Gobert was named the Defensive Player of the Year. And Rob, the two top vote getters for both MVP and Defensive Player of the Year were international guys. So MVP, it was Jokic from Slovenia. It was Joel Embiid from the Cameroon. And then the Defensive Player of the Year, it was Rudy Gobert from France and Ben Simmons from Australia. Rob, the last three MVPs, now granted, two of them were Giannis, but the last three MVP awards have been won by an international player. And the last four Defensive Player of the Year awards, Giannis and then Rudy Gobert, have been won by an international player. My first team All-NBA, Rob, now we'll see what it ends up being officially, but my official ballot, first team All-NBA, Chris Paul and Steph Curry at the guards, Nikola Jokic at center, Giannis Antetokounmpo at one of the forwards, and Luka Doncic at the other forwards. Three of those five are international players. Does this, it's not a bad thing, but does this say anything specifically to you? The fact that obviously a lot of these awards are being won, I won't say dominated by international players.
Yeah, we're playing international basketball. That's what the NBA is playing now. I'm not even surprised by it. This is the game that they've been playing forever. So,
you mean the style of play?
Yes.
Right.
Am I right or wrong with that, Chris?
Because you remember in the early 2000s when unbelievably, right, NBA players start getting beat in international competition.
Absolutely.
Even Rob, remember, go back to, I think it was 2000. And our team won. It was Kevin Garnett, Allen Houston, Vince Carter, Gary Payton. It had a bunch of the great players. And they barely won. Remember Lithuania, had them on the ropes? And then eventually they started beating us. And the way they were doing it, Rob, to your point, was the drive and kick and shooting threes.
Yep.
And so 100%. We were getting twos, right?
And they're getting threes.
Right.
You know what? Darko Milicic is somewhere saying, why can't I be in the league now?
I know. You're right.
I'm serious.
Larry, or why? And look, we all do respect to Larry Brown, who is a phenomenal coach. But
he wanted no part of it back then.
For Darko.
Right. I'm serious, Chris. And you know this because Doug Gottlieb and I tried out with Doug Gottlieb on game night on ESPN radio, right?
Okay.
That was my tryout, me and Doug Gottlieb for 2 or 3
How long
nights.
ago about?
Oh, man.
Roughly.
15, 16 years ago.
Okay.
All right. And he played against Darko. He swore by Darko he told me on the air.
Yeah, he played against him overseas, right?
Yeah, he was the best 15-year-old player Chris he had ever seen. That's what Doug
And he was
said.
perimeter.
Yes, he was. Larry Brown wanted no part of that. You're right. But anyway, my point is we're playing European-style basketball. I'm not surprised that Europeans are now taking over all the awards and now winning them with regularity because of the style of play. We talk about all the time because you talk about fundamentals, passing the ball, all this other stuff. Those guys do it really well. Those guys play professionally when they're 15. When they come over here, when Luka comes over here, Chris, he's 22, but he's been a professional for 7 years.
Playing against grown men.
Yes. Let's not make it like he just showed up and you can't believe what he's doing. He's been playing against grown men for years.
Yeah, and Luka, as I mentioned on Jokic is from Serbia. Luka's from Slovenia. But most of these guys, Rob, are from a small part of Eastern Europe. And we brought up Larry. Now, Giannis is from Greece. Like I said, Gobert's from France. Embiid's from Africa. But speaking of Larry Brown, Rob, He told me, you got to give him credit for this, back in 1996.
And you know I think Larry Brown is the best basketball coach.
Right.
Period.
Right. And I don't, but he's a top coach. He's one of the greats. He told me in 1996, we were at the pre-draft camp in Chicago. And he told me, he said, Eastern Europe is going to become the next hotbed of basketball.
Is that what he said? Wow.
Yep. He said it's going to become like the ghettos of America have been. Yep. He said because those kids got nothing else. And Rob, check this out. So I was in Italy with Brandon Jennings. Remember Brandon Jennings went from high school to play in Rome. Right. Yeah, right. And so I was over there for like 3 weeks. One of our trips, I was traveling with the team. I was doing a story on Brandon Jennings. And so the team was in Rome, but they were making a trip to Serbia. Belgrade in Serbia. And one of the African-American players on Jennings' team told me, he said, look, when we get to Serbia, he said, those Europeans are the most like African-Americans that you'll see over here in Europe. And I didn't really know what he meant. I was like, okay, all right, whatever, you know? So when we get to Serbia, what he meant, it's like the hood.
Right.
Like, it is not like you go to Paris, London, Rome, you know what I mean? All that stuff. It's all glitzy and history and all that. You go to Eastern Europe, it's like downtown Detroit.
Right, I know what you mean. Right.
And Youngstown. You know, it's just not nearly as wealthy and all that.
And for them, they play ball as a chance of them getting out.
Right.
Like I get it. I get it.
They're tough. They're hard nosed and
they're not afraid of playing against black players, right. Chris. It's not like that's one of the knocks on white basketball players from the United States. You've seen this where, you know, a team could be really good, the kids could be really good. All of a sudden an all black team shows up in a gym and then they can't play. You know, like
Right. No, you're right. And they come over with a swagger. Obviously Luka has got a swag, and so it's interesting. I think you hit on something, Rob. And we seem to be getting there a little bit. I think the G League helps, but you know, here's some of the reasons. And look, let's keep it real. You still have tons of great American players.
No doubt.
You made a good point that look, the game is global now. Right. And so you're going to have some great players from other countries. But, you know, young players, okay, yeah, Giannis, Jokic, Luka, they're all 26 and under. But you also got Ja Morant, Zion Williamson, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Jason Tatum. You know what I mean? Like, you've got all these great American players as well. But, Rob, I think you mentioned the style of play, which is a good point. I think also the way they bring you up in the game. When you go over there, Rob, they drill, and they work on skills. Over here with AAU becoming the predominant, you know, form of youth basketball, they just play games. You know it. A team goes for a weekend, and drills. They might play 6 to 8 games. Right. They're not running drills. They're not doing jump stop moves. They're not working on their handle and shot. They are not sliding drills, whatever. They are balling. And obviously our kids still have great skills, but they are drilling them over there. And so you see a lot of these players, Rob, who we wouldn't consider athletic.
But they know how to play, yes.
Right.
There's a big difference. You know that, Chris. Athletically, guys can jump out of the gym, but do they really know how to play the game?
Even if they got great one-on-one handle and jumper, right? That doesn't mean they know how to play with 4 other players.
Right.
So I think that's a factor. And then, you know, over there, what they do, Rob, they divorce sports from academics. Like you said, Luka's a pro at 15.
Right.
I mean, he might be getting some type of tutoring, right? Maybe. But it's not like he's going to be ineligible to play. You know what I mean? If he's not that smart or doing that well in school or whatever. And so at a younger age, it's like, look, you're going to be a basketball player. And he's focusing on it. So, like I said, the G League, you know, maybe getting, you know, as these younger kids, they don't have to worry about going to college. A lot of them are going to the G League now, and they can just work on their games. Even in the high school level, Rob, you saw with this, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. Remember, like the new league, the National High School League? What's probably going to happen, Rob, is you're going to start having kids, the best kids from all over the country probably going to these schools, you know?
Yep.
And then they're going to be head and shoulders above, you know, your typical all-state teams and stuff. And so, you know, those may become more basketball factories. But I think, like you said, it's skills is a big difference in what you're seeing. And that's how a Jokic and a Doncic and, you know, these guys are excelling. So it's interesting.